I think we covered everything. Now let's go and look into the code, right? Code and see simple functions, okay? Now where does the execution begin here in this file? From which line the execution would start?
16.
16. Why? Why not from say line 1 or line 4, or why not here? So it is very confusing right now, right? I removed all the places and now it's very confusing what this code will do, right? So what is the right way to do understand this? Debug it?
Debug.
Okay, let's start. Okay, so what happened? Where is that line started executing from? Okay, I'll do one thing. To be fair to you, what I'll do, I'll set breakpoints here also, so that you should not say that, okay, sir set breakpoint at 10 and directly started from there, okay? I set breakpoint at line number 1, okay? Are you able to see the breakpoint?
Yes, sir.
Line number 1, right? I have set the breakpoint. Now let's try. Let's start. Okay, so it went to line number 1. Okay, now what I'll say, I'll say step into. Okay, let's see what happened.
It went to third line.
Okay, then 5th,
5th,
then 8th,
8th.
and then it's 10th, right? So what happened here? What did the interpreter do?
It's not calling the function, sir.
Correct. So it read this line and it realized that, oh, this is a function, I should just skip it. So how did it know when to, how did it know till which line it has to skip? Based on the what?
Till 8th.
How did it figure out that it has to skip till here? Like it, no, when I debugged it, no, it skipped these lines and directly went to the third line. What I'll do is now I'll just add some more spaces here, okay, just to confuse this guy. Now let's debug again, okay? Okay, now which line it will go?
1, sir.
How?
7th.
7th?
From 1 to 7.
Okay, let's run it. So how is that interpreter is able to figure out that I have to skip this line? How? What is the way? How is it finding it out that it has to skip? You remember when I explained the theory, I explained it actually.
Sir, it is one more function. Because of that reason, it
Function,
is.
sir.
You imagine, you imagine that CPU is actually a blind person. It cannot see like the way humans can see, right? Like, see, our eyes can see that, we'll say, okay, this is one function, this is another function. But imagine the CPU does not have like a human eyes, right? It does not have human eyes. So all it does is it reads the line by line. So how is that it from this line it directly is jumping here and not going here, anywhere it's not going, it directly jumps here. Why? And how it knows about it? The reason is the indentation. You remember I told the tab.
Yes, sir.
What is there
Yes,
in
sir.
all these lines still here? There is a tab here.
Tab.
What is the tab? It is like a compound wall of the function. It is like a boundary of a function. In C language, what this would have been? In C language, this would have been a brace.
Braces, curly braces.
Curly braces, correct?
Yes,
So
sir.
that is how important the tab is. Even though, see, I did not leave any space between two functions, or I created extra space. Nothing confused the interpreter. Did you see both examples? No, one where I packed everything so close, it did not get confused. Now I unnecessarily added space also, it is not getting confused. Because it knows that the tab here means it's the boundary. So from here till here. Then after that you are writing this. Correct? Now I'll show you some issue where if I don't follow this, what happens, okay? The best way to learn programming is actually write a working program and then screw it up and then debug and see what happens. So I'll remove the tab here, okay? Did you see that I removed the tab? Oops, sorry, one second. What I did is, there was a tab here, right? This tab, I am going to delete the tab. Now let's see if the interpreter get confused. Okay, let's start debugging again. Let me save the file. What happened? What happened? Expected an indented block after function definition on line number 1. Do you see that? Are you able to see and read the error here?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The first thing I told is do not download code from internet and learn. The second is you have to debug the code and learn. The third thing, you have to write a working code, then screw the code and then debug and see how compiler or interpreter behaves because of that. This is the third important lesson if you want to become a good programmer. Because in your brain now, whenever you read this error, expected an indented block after function definition, you know that okay, somewhere you forgot to put a tab. Correct? Inside the function. So
Yes, sir.
you made a mistake here. Right? So now interpreter is not going to run your program. So it is just saying that I cannot run this code because I don't know. I don't know what should I do with this guy. Right? So now I'll make one fix and that changes the whole understanding. Okay, let me do it. I'll leave a thing here and I'll say pass. Okay. Now will it work now? Will it work now?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Why?
No.
Why? Let's again debug. So is it giving any compilation error? No, right?
No,
No,
sir.
sir. No,
Fail.
sir.
I mean it's not giving that so it printed this, then it went here, then it finally came here. Okay, so code actually worked. So why? So you guys said it will not work, but the code actually worked and interpreter was able to understand. So now can you tell me what happened? Why is that the code worked? So what does this pass indicate is it is saying that I am not going to define this function. So this is called defining the function or definition of the function. You currently don't want to define it. So what do you use? Do you use pass? You will say that I am not going to implement this. Now the boundary of this is still here. Okay. Is there any tab here? There is no tab here, right? Because these are at the same line, correct? Since there is no tab and this block of code is independent, so for interpreter this is the first line of code that it need to execute. Then it found that okay, there is another function, so it skipped that function. It found another function, it skipped that function, and then it finally went. So what it means is you can have a function definition and then some lines of code, and then you have another definition and then some lines of code. It is interpreter is fine with it, but only problem is if you do that it confuses people. So that's why what we do always in the industry, we always first write all the functions at the beginning of the file. Here we write all functions at the beginning of the file and then we only implement the code at the bottom of the file. Okay, and sometime if you don't declare also it will say that I don't know what it is, right? So we'll play with this file a bit, okay, so that all the doubts get cleared for you. Now I'm going to do one more thing, which is I will remove this pass. I'll put this guy back up, okay. And I'll add back the space, remove the spaces so that we can see that whole code in one go. We don't get confused. So now what is the message that get printed was my original question, right? So let's find the answer for that. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll show the code again. What I did is I removed all the spaces and then I put this print back here. I removed the pass and now I am again back to debugging the code. Okay, so it came, interpreter came here. Now since it is a it identified that it is a function, it is going to skip till there are tabs and till there is a next function. Okay, so it jumped here 4, then it same thing, jumped to 7, jumped to 11, and finally came to 14. Now what is line number 14 doing? Can somebody tell me? Hema?
Printing.
No. Like I know it is printing. What is the print message? So what is this name? What is this print message?
Functioning.
Function, correct? Is it a
Yes, sir.
standard library function or is it a custom function?
Customer.
Custom function. Custom means we implemented it, right?
Ravi.
Ah,
Yes.
like user implemented or custom implemented function. It's our own function. We are not calling a standard library here. And which line number that is defined?
Line 4, sir. Line number
How did you say it is 4 and not 7?
message.
Plural is there and it is taking two
Yes.
inputs, right?
Yes.
The line number 7 is taking two input. So this signature, it is like a signature, okay? It is so smart that it knows that you are calling it only with one, and then there is, of course, I could have named it message also, then it would have still not got confused because there is only one variable here, right? So what happens,
Yes.
this guy will now jump from here to here, and let's do it,
Yes.
and then let's first check it. So you have to use this function. Now in debugging these values, right, please look at that screen. So which option I have to use to go into the function? Should I use step over or should I do step into?
Step into.
Why? So what is this arrow here? Step over means what? Step over
It
means
will
you are
jump.
jumping. Step over means you are not going inside, you are jumping,
Pink.
right?
Yes.
Step into means you are diving into that function. So do we have to dive into the function or we have to skip step over the function? We have to want to dive into function, right? We want to go into. See that dot, if you see that arrow mark, what is this arrow mark saying? You run the function, but don't go to inside and show me what happens inside, because I don't want to worry about that. So this guy is saying I will run the function but don't take me inside. That's why it's called step over. Step into means I want to see every line how this function is written and how it will execute my instruction. That is why it is called step into. That's why the arrow is going in the point. Is there a confusion between these two? When to use step into versus when to use step over? Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
So,
When you want to debug the lines inside the function, you have to use which one?
step into.
Step into. When you want to skip going line by line, just want to know output from that function, you use step over.
Step
Okay?
over.
So we will do step into now. Okay, this button, third button. Where did the control go? Fifth line, right? So from here directly we went into this function. Now this print message, is it a standard library function or is it a custom function?
Standard library.
Standard library.
Now what happens if I do step into? Let's see. Okay, did it go inside? It didn't go
Yes,
inside.
sir.
It didn't go. It directly came back here now. It ran this and then there was no instruction here, so it already came back here now. So why is that happened? So standard library code, if it is there in your project and you have given a path, then only it will go inside that. But if you have not given that path and that code is not there, your interpreter don't know where to go to that file, right? Then it won't go into standard library. So to do standard library debugging, you have to do some additional work. Okay. Otherwise, the standard library, it will not go inside. It will skip that line, even though you say step into. Is that clear?
It's so.
Okay. So what actually happened here? Now let's look at the screen, right? The namaste got printed here. Okay. So you sent a message. You passed an input, like you told your friend saying, friend, you print namaste on the screen here. So your friend listened to you and it used standard library and that name was printed here. Okay. So you delegated that task to this message, and this is called a function argument, and this function argument was received here, and when you receive it, no, you attach a name to it, and what was the name that was attached? The name attached to that was message. So inside that message, this message actual namaste was there. Now I will show you that through debugging. Okay. Now let's set a breakpoint here. How to do that? Do using watch. Okay, you remember I had covered watches at the very beginning. Okay, now I am here. What I'll do, let me delete all these here, the one we were using previously. Okay, now I will do step into. Now do you see that this message here, right? I can put it in watches also for your understanding. Message. Do you see that now? This, what is the value of this message? Namaste, right? Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
And in memory I added that watches to see, and that also said Namaste only. See, I hover over this, it will say Namaste. Now
Yes, sir.
let me clarify couple of things, right? I could have done it like this also. Okay, I would have done it like sorry, I would have declared a variable called my underscore message is equal to Namaste from Mahesh. Okay, and I would have passed this as a parameter to this guy. Okay, like this. Okay, and here print message, no, instead of message I will use something called just to clarify concept, right? I'll say Malama message, sorry, one sec, message to okay, I'll wrote it like this just to get some more concepts clear. Now the same name has to be used here. Now let's debug this code so that once for all you have like amazing clarity on what is happening. So again, let's go. Okay, so line number 14 got executed because this line is not inside any of the function definition, correct? This line is not inside any function definition. It is at the beginning of the line, and interpreter see that this is the first line which is starting from the beginning, which is not encapsulated or within any definition, so it started here, and then it declared a variable and allocated the memory. I will show it to you. Pay attention to here on the left side, locals. Okay, I'll remove this watch. Pay attention to left side when I do next. What happened? My underscore message got created in memory. So my underscore message got created in memory, right? And what is that? It is stored in the memory. Namaste from RAM. Sorry, Namaste from Mahesh, right? So in RAM this got allocated, correct? Now
Yes.
my message is kind of a reference to that. It is like house number. It is like a location in the library. So what do? Then now I am telling this information to another function to print it, right? So here it is called my message. It has this data. Now that variable, okay, this is called variable. That variable is being passed to print message. Now let's do step into. Okay, now do you see in the watches I'll add my message, and also I will add one more thing. Okay, one second. I'll add another variable called message to Malama. Okay, and when I hover over it, it has the same content. So now I'm going to freeze the pane and explain it so that you understand what happened here behind the scene. Okay, and at the end I have to close it to my. So in this step what happened? In this step what happened? The declaration of the variable happened, right? So declaration. And then also what happened here in the equal to sign and value, this is called initialization. And then to store this you need memory, right? Because this is a string. So also what happened? Memory allocation happened. memory got allocated. Where it got allocated? In RAM. Okay. So RAM, this got allocated, and this got stored in the data segment. Okay. Data and heap and all I'll cover later, because that's a way more deeper concept we'll talk. So it is somewhere in RAM. For now, let's assume somewhere in RAM this memory got allocated. And when in RAM it got allocated, right, it will have an address here. So let's say that address is 1001, right? Here this string got allocated, memory got allocated. Now when I called this message, we passed this address to this function. So this address, say it was like say 1001, right? So this, when we pass that parameter to this function, we gave the same name here, whatever name is given here. This name of a variable is an alias to an address location in the RAM. Like the way in Bangalore, like say if you come to my layout, right, we have house numbers. So instead of saying Mahesh Arali's house, you can just say site number 22 or something, right? XYZ, some number. So that number is an alias to this address. Like that, in RAM, it has allocated some space, and that address is referred by this variable name my message. So you are telling your friend that print whatever is there in this address. So it came here. Now your friend don't want to call it, they don't want to call it as my message. They want to give a pet name. What is the pet name? The pet name is message to Malama. Or it could be XYZ, it could have been ABC, it could have been anything. So, but the content is same. You see that content is same, Namaste from Mahesh. Then it took the same value and passed it on to a standard library function called print. So it gave that value to this. And then standard library function again went inside. We don't know what they call it inside. I need to open that code and see. But they might have called something else, and then it finally wrote that content to the display. Do you see how that from here it went here, from here it went here, and the same content it will get printed? Any doubt here? Any doubts or any question here? Are you able to understand this? So do you see now Namaste from Mahesh is printed here? So this is called function arguments, function input, function arguments, function parameters. These are the different name. It could be arguments, it could be parameters, right? Or inputs, we use interchangeably. And then here you receive that, and then you do that work. Okay. There is a deeper concept of call by value and call by reference. That is little bit more deeper concept, which I'll explain in subsequent classes. It has different applications. First learn these simple things first. Passing one with parameter, passing without parameter, right? Even if it takes 2 classes to explain function, I am fine, because function is so fundamental to programming. The person who will master functions will master programming. Okay. Take time, ask questions, be interactive. There is nothing like a stupid or a dumb question, right? Ask as many doubts you have, but make sure you completely get hold of functions. Okay.